Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rick Young from LTN, and it's a pleasure to see everybody here today. I hope everybody's having a great show so far. 2 more days after this, so let's keep it going. I'm joined today by Lacey Pack from In Demand, and we're going to have a conversation about the world's longest panel title here, which is Operational Optimization. And if I read the rest of it, it'll actually be over. So we're not going to read the rest of it. But before we jump in, I'm going to let Lacey introduce himself.
Thanks, Rick. Yep. Lacey Pack, In Demand, the CTO there. In Demand does premium video on demand content, live sports, and pay-per-view events that probably many of you have watched. So, In Demand is a joint venture of Comcast, Charter, and Cox. We've been around for 25 something years. So that's it.
Lacey agreed to join me in this conversation. In Demand is a partner of LTN's, and we really appreciate him spending some time with us. But he kind of undersold himself a bit in his introduction. Lacey's been in the industry for a number of years. He's really a renowned expert in both technology and operations, or engineering and operations. And so what I hope to do today is just have a conversation. I have these Phil Donahue blue cards here, or maybe David Letterman, and I have like 4,000 questions on them. So we should probably get through like 3,500.
At least we'll do at least 5 seconds per answer.
Oh, like a lightning round.
Lightning round. Let's go.
Ready? Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite band?
Ooh, Alice in Chains.
All right, good.
All right, here we go.
All right, sorry. I got distracted. In reality, though, let's not do the lightning round. Let's talk a little bit about operational optimization. And there's a few different areas I think we can touch on. One is sort of how do you manage live content distribution, real-time content distribution. I know In Demand deals both in the live and real-time world and the non-live or the VOD or the file-based world. But LTN, we're 95% about live and linear and real-time. So I'd love to kind of start there. And in today's multi-platform world, there's all types of systems that are required to deliver content reliably, right? Whatever those platforms might be. And how do you, from an operations perspective, make sure that you have visibility across all of those systems? Some of those might be LTN, but many of those are not.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge, and I think the problems have probably been identified before now. The solutions are the things that usually cause issue, right? Because of the multi-systems, getting alert aggregation information from all of those various systems, being able to, in a crisis point, be able to deduplicate any kind of errors that may be there, and then really focus on correlation, right? What is the common factor here? What is that first thing that kicked off this entire chain of events? Without a good configuration management database that can be actively changing as your environment's changing, you're in a world of hurt, right? So it's that immediate information of knowing what the situation is across all of those platforms, and then looking and finding that common denominator and being able to act upon that swiftly, right? It's not the information, we're in information overload, right? Everybody was pitching dashboards 5 years ago. I'm a no dashboard kind of guy. I want to be told there's a problem here and here's what you need to do. Go fix it. Have a nice day.
You're a no dashboard kind of guy?
I think the fewer.
What about all those dashboards out there in the world?
I know. They're great. Great KPIs, great metrics, great everything. But in a crisis, what do you really want? You want to know exactly what that issue is and how to fix it. Yeah, then you can KPI this stuff and then spend the rest of your day glancing at those really cool dashboards that you built.
Make your bosses feel better.
That's right. That's right.
Or our collective bosses.
Our collective bosses.
I'm not going to talk about specifically your bosses.
Let's move on.
One of the challenges that we hear a lot, and as LTN continues to evolve what we do, right? LTN initially, historically, has been a transport solution, right? Point to multi-point, point to point, live events, full-time channels. We've added additional functions and modules into our network stack, into our technology portfolio, where now we are, I hope this isn't a dashboard question. Now I'm nervous.
It's okay.
Okay. we're adding additional functions. So now not only are you moving the live stream from point A to point B, you're modifying it in 6 or 7 different ways to simplify the workflows. And one of the challenges, or one of the areas that we're most focused on, is providing the visibility, not only as the content flows from point A to point B or point A to 1,000 points, but all of those different functions that go along within it. Sort of, how do you aggregate that view? How important is that to somebody like an operations professional like you, to be able to see sort of not only the top level, but how do you quickly jump down to the various sort of changes that might be happening along the way?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the point I was making about aggregation, right? The information from all those disparate systems that you've got out there, every single layer is providing information. So it's being able to get from that highest top level down to the very bottom of that stack swiftly, right? And the more information you have coming from those systems, and then smartly figuring out what right looks like versus what wrong looks like immediately, are the things that will get you to the answer a lot faster. We talk about lessons learned a lot in this industry, and we all have them, and they're all really great stories, usually about something where someone may or may not have made a mistake. But in those situations, when you have a major event, lessons learned belong back in the systems themselves, not on a Word document that you can't find whenever it happens the next time. So using the tool sets that we have, and got some folks here in the audience that are responsible for it, making sure that when we have a major incident, every detail about that incident goes back into that same monitoring system. So the next time it happens, the information is already there about, hey, I've got some recognition symptoms here that we've experienced this before. Here's exactly what we did to fix it last time. And then you can even automate that fix the next time it recognizes those symptoms. So that's the thing, is ensuring that you don't just rely on a postmortem and everything that happens in that postmortem dies and lies on the ground until it happens the next time. It's being proactive and making sure that information is readily available the next time it happens.
I mean, LTN and In-Demand are both service providers at the end of the day, right? So sort of at a core level, at a fundamental level, our operations teams and everything we do is we try to be an open book, right? Whatever we see in our systems, we make that available as near as real time as we can to our customers, so we can all sort of take that data that's built deep in the systems and provide it real time and be an open book. I think that's kind of fundamental to everything that we need to do, and I'm sure In-Demand feels that way as well. Lightning round, what's your favorite movie?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Saving Private Ryan.
Is that right?
I love that.
Did I ask?
It's a military guy. You got to do that.
I feel like I should stand up.
What about yours, Rick?
I've never actually watched a movie before, and I think it's something in the Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction kind of.
Very nice. Very nice.
You're not allowed to ask me questions.
Oh, we forgot to tell you that.
Left chair asked the questions. How about favorite food? Did I ask you that one yet already?
Sushi.
Sushi. I do like sushi.
Okay.
It's not my favorite food.
We've got time afterwards, I think.
All right, excellent. You mentioned automation previously, back away from the lightning round. You mentioned automation, and you talked about automation and alerting and figuring out kind of what went wrong. How are you seeing automation, whether it's AI driven or whether it's data driven, driving customization of content? Multi-platform is in that never-ending title up there somewhere, but how do you drive customization through automation for a multi-platform world?
I think the more information you can gather swiftly, I'm going to use that word swift a lot, right, is one of the things that we do in a lot of our live events is we do a live to VOD transition immediately as soon as we can make that turn and get it back out onto the platforms. Well, the more information that can be gathered by AI about that content as it's going, whether it's who had the most, landed the most left hooks in that round for a boxing event, or who scored the goals, or what jersey number got the yellow card, all of that is AI driven now, right? You don't have to have somebody sitting there taking those notes anymore. So being able to use that kind of real-time information about an event and then make that turn swiftly to where that exact information is available from a VOD metadata standpoint, it's simplified the job immensely.
We think about AI and metadata in a similar way, but we also have services where we do high scale live event customization all in real time, where we work with platforms and leagues to customize thousands and thousands of basketball games, soccer games, football games in real time. And when I mean customize and version, I mean putting new graphics on, putting new announcers in, playing different content during breaks that you might see on other platforms, removing commercials, what have you, really high scale, really high volume. And AI, to me, is a production enablement tool as well, right? It can make operators doing a job much more efficient, meaning you may need to have an operator overseeing 20 different live events simultaneously versus sort of the traditional or the old school way of doing it, which is like a 1-to-1 ratio. Or in the really old school, you might have 5 people working on one event.
Yeah, I think the unique challenges of live is that it's live, right? Even, you can do that wherever you put 20 games per operator. I still think live will always require that human touch and that human awareness of what's happening, right? But to your point, a lot of those jobs can certainly be automated, and then you can give those people that were previously doing the staring at the glass other jobs working on further enhancements of every single little component of whatever's happening at that event.
How do you balance? I mean, we wrestle with this a lot as well. How do you balance sort of the investment in excellent people to get something done versus the investment in technology? Like, how do you make those decisions along the way?
Well, I would say in this particular environment that I'm in within demand, look, we're a small team. Software development team is small. Infrastructure and engineering's 5 people, and they run a data center and they run things in the cloud. So we are always looking for the way to do it where it's more automated, less human interaction, because we're not going to be adding any people to do anything new, right? So I think that we really do focus in, though, on some of the deliverables that we have to the MVPDs that we service is what is it that a human is doing? And if you look at it from a repetitive nature, we go after those first, looking for the repetitive strokes that they're taking every day, and then moving that into an automated format and then tackling the next thing.
On the business side, what do you think is going to happen with all of there is no slowdown, I think, but can it sustain itself in terms of the investments that media companies and the service providers, the platforms are making in live sports specifically? And we're both sports fans. What's your favorite sports team?
Dallas Cowboys.
No questions? Pittsburgh Steelers. There you go. I won that lightning round.
You certainly did. I actually saw someone get up and walk away when I made my comment.
That's bad for business.
Bad for business. I forgot the question.
Me too. But no, for the investment in live sports, the rights. I mean, it's exploding, right? The NFL, which was our answer, is one thing. That's the one everybody talks to. But how far down can that investment go across the broad array of live sports? Is it going to continue to grow?
I absolutely think so, right? I don't think there's any chance that we will see a reduction of what people want to view, because you're able to have these niche markets now that you couldn't have before, right? So I think sports will always continue to be a headline. It's an interesting thing, and we have a direct-to-consumer thing that we launched in 2021 called ppv.com. That direct-to-consumer is non-subscription based. So we're in this challenging environment of how do we still have content for people to view on the site when there's not another event that we're actually selling to a consumer every 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So finding ways to keep free content available to them is really important. And some of these smaller type events is something that we can do very, very cost efficiently.
I think one of the ways to to scale one of the ways to scale sort of the volume of content is obviously technology driven, but then there's the conversation that many of us have is sort of, what do you do on premise? What do you do in a cloud environment? How do you pick and choose and mix and match where to perform processing functions, where to do what you need to do to make live content happen? That's sort of like, how are those decisions being made operationally and on an engineering side?
It's the age-old question, I think, at this point, right? We can also say that we've been talking about this for a long time. And we run both. I think where we have to make decisions that we want are the access to the really fast processing times that sometimes we may need and we find more control in, from an on-prem perspective. And then from a cloud perspective, we run several applications that I think the things we like in the cloud are the things that we really need to protect, right? And in a data center, yeah, it's highly protected, but if something were to happen to a single data center, as an example, sometimes that backup, sometimes the things that you need readily available may not be for a certain amount of time. So that's the way we look at it from a technology company. I think when you look at live sports, we have certain components that run on-prem and certain components that run in the cloud. So it's a balance. Cost is obviously it's one of the things, and we've found that to be a little bit of a challenge too in certain aspects of our choices.
Are you finding cost? I think there are some lessons that are being learned along the way where there are, I don't know if the right word is, hidden costs that you find when you work in a public cloud environment, right? Oh, I didn't think about egress, and I know I need 3 different versions instead of 1 different version.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? And the thing you have to be really aware, I've heard horror stories of people turning things up, not actually paying attention to it, and then they look 3 months later and their bill is slightly spiked or, massively spiked. So I think managing those control costs, and you're right, there are a lot of solutions now. The egress was always the thing that was scary to everyone, and I think we've solved that. I think there's several other ways to manage those kinds of things in your production environment. So it's which one is better, which one is lower cost, and just keep, it's almost a commodity at this point where you're just kind of playing a price war. But I still think there's opportunity to go back and forth. And we do it, like I mentioned, we do a little bit of both.
What's your favorite city to visit?
Ooh, favorite city to visit. That's a good one. I will say that
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada for all the people here from the Convention Bureau. No, I would say it's got to be in the Caribbean. It's somewhere in the Caribbean.
And a beach somewhere.
A beach somewhere, and preferably someone waiting on me.
What's your favorite cocktail?
Old fashioned.
I'm a Manhattan.
How about you?
I'm a Manhattan.
Manhattan?
Well, same neighborhood for sure.
Okay.
Right. We're losing focus. Listen, I think we are out of time. Lacey is available afterwards to speak to. He's really an expert. We're lucky to have him on the panel with us, or with me today. And InDemand is a great partner. Lots of good stuff to come, I hope. And I appreciate everybody's time today.
Thanks, everybody.